This is The Locker Room, where the coaches of Husson University talk sports.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm your host, Tyler Stack, and this is The Locker Room, the show that introduces you to coaches and athletes of Husson University. Our guest today this week is head football coach, Gabby Price. Thank you for coming on the show, Gabby.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. I appreciate it very much.
So we're going to start off the show today. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found your way to Husson?
Well, since I was a little guy, I wanted to be a coach and teacher just from playing at Bang High School. And then I went to Bridgeton and graduated from Maine. Then right from Maine, I went right to Bang High School, elementary school, and taught elementary phys ed and coached at the high school. And being there 21 years at different times, and then got the job here at Husson.
You've been coaching you've been coaching football since the early 70s. Where do you find the passion to keep getting up every day and coaching football?
Well, I don't know. It's just something I love, we love, and just work with young people and seeing them do things that they didn't think they could do. Or more importantly, just the game. I love the game. I'm intrigued with the dynamics of a team, all the interactions, and not only the plays and the strategy, but particularly the interaction of the team and the players and the coaches. And just has never waned with me, and I've just loved it from day one and still do. Love it as much now as I ever have.
Your passion started the football program in 2002, and you coached the program from 03 to 08, left for a few years, now you're back. What kind of changes have been in place, and what are you liking about this program now?
Well, certainly when we got here, we didn't have, and it wasn't just me, Nat Clark and many other guys have just done great things here, but when we first got here, we didn't have equipment, we didn't have a field, so all those things obviously are a schedule, and I think the first year we played 7 games, and the next year like 7 or 8, then we finally got in the league. So the changes are we've a lot farther ahead, obviously, with a beautiful field and facilities and coaches and a budget and all those kind of things. There's some great football players, which really makes the whole difference. So we have more football players. Those guys we first started with, those young men, ended up being very good players and tremendous human beings, but we just had them already when we got here.
Well, last year, 2013, was your first year back on the sidelines from returning. You guys had a 5-5 record, and you were 2-8 the previous year in 2012. What led to such a fast turnaround for you guys?
Well, I think probably they just believed in each other, and we believed in them, and just kind of rallied them, the off-season program. But really, it's a great tribute to those players. They hadn't won many games in the previous 3 years. For them to hang in there like that, and anytime a new group comes in, it comes down to belief and believing and getting on board to whatever those people believe. There's many different ways to coach and many different philosophies, but they certainly bought in to a large degree, worked out in the winter, summer, spring football. So really, the whole everything should be attributed to them for what they did.
In those off-season programs, I know you have a very good off-season program in place. How do you think that's affected your success so far in last year and into this year as well?
Well, you really can't leave at the end of November and then start back up in August, and so we see them year-round, particularly in the winter. It's not so that it's a commitment that they can't enjoy life and certainly have a great academic career. It's just getting together. I think when they see results, they get stronger. One of the things that we can do is allow them to get stronger. And then spring football's been much better. The biggest change from when we first got here to here was really spring football. We had 75 or so players this spring and really got a lot done to start for the year in August.
Well, to start off your schedule this year, you had two very good opponents in Alfred and Alfred State. How have you think that's led into your success so early on this season?
Well, Alfred, I think if we didn't have them on the road, the results might have been a little different. But we went up there, we were very impressed with the maturity of our group. When you travel 12 hours, played okay, did some good things. Certainly, I think when we left there, we felt like we could play better. Then we had a bye. Then the next week we played Alfred State and thought we did some very good things. They had a tremendous player, and I know it's a team, but they had some tremendous players. We really liked how we responded. I thought we played better defense in the first week and moved the ball a little bit differently, then ran the ball a little bit better in the second week. So consequently, we won the football game. Our guys won the game.
Well, you mentioned you had a 12-hour bus ride so early on in the season. How did that affect the team chemistry, and how did your team react to such a long bus ride and having to play Alfred so early on in the season?
I think to reiterate, I think the maturity of our guys was just terrific. I just can't say enough about them because a lot can go wrong, and certainly you're on a bus for 12 hours. Certainly, I don't mean go wrong, but your personality can change a little bit when you're kind of sequestered on a bus. So I thought that was great. Thought the meals were great. The way they conduct themselves in the hotel. We drove over to the game. How they conduct themselves were really good. We certainly just died a little bit at the end. I don't mean died physically. They just beat us in the second half. They played well. It's a good team, and hats off to them. But certainly we learned some things.
Well, the better question is, how did you fare after that 12-hour bus ride?
Well, on the way back, I just soon stopped for about a minute there. But we're used to it, obviously, and that's part of this league. And it's a testament to us. That's why home teams are tough to defeat, because of the amount of travel that's involved. And we talked to our guys, and really last week was 8 or 9 because we got stuck in traffic. And once again, our players were very mature and approached the game in a great light.
This season, you guys are 3-1 and 2-0 in conference play. What has led to the success so early on, and what do you feel that you're doing well right now?
Well, defensively, we just played much better than the first week, and playing more young guys, and just love their intensity, how they get to the football. Kick game really was a surprise. We played excellent. Ryan Stroud's kicked great. Josh Gray's kicked great. We've covered well. You know, offensively, we just weren't quite ready to run the ball the first week, but we certainly are, or have been the last 2 weeks. So I think they've evolved into a good pass and a good run team. Obviously, in this league, you need to be able to run the ball to win the conference just because of weather and the amount of travel in the late the season we go. So I'd say it's a combination of everything. Defensively, we've really got some athletes there. They play together. They're happy for each other. Kick game has just been excellent. We had a couple areas that we thought we had to improve on last year. Punt return and just much better, and all the tribute, everything to the players, and offensively, not to be redundant, I just think that we're evolving.
Well, it looked like the running game was going to take quite a hit this year without Ryan Dorso, but you know he's not playing, and you've had a couple other people step up on the running game, which we'll touch upon in a minute. But what kind of leadership has he brought to the team, even though he's not playing as much this year?
I don't think there's a better person than Ryan Dorso. I mean, he worked tremendously in the off season and spring football, and got our captains elected by our players and got all kinds of votes. And he's just a no-nonsense, terrific guy. He's one of those guys that can go hunting and fishing and be alone or be in a group, and just a fun guy. Besides that, though, he brought a great intensity. He was operated on Wednesday. I talked to him, and he's doing much better. Hopefully we see him tomorrow back up here. He's back home, but he'll be back up here. Just his presence, the amount, I'd say, the legacy, that how much he loved football. I think our guys certainly know that and respect that.
Yeah, let me ask you, did you redshirt him this year, and will he be back next year, or is he graduating?
No, Ryan will graduate. Maybe if early in your career you would, but not a senior like this. And Ryan's a man. All our guys are men, but he's a real man and get on with his life. He's just a hard worker. What we've found is he snow plows and he mows lawns, and with his dad, and they have a great business. He's just a man. He's a man.
Well, I'm happy to tell you your recruiting paid off, because you brought in this year John Smith, who has been an absolute beast for you on the running side of things this year. 285 yards, 4 touchdowns in 4 games. What has he meant to this program? You know, and what kind of success has he had as a freshman?
Well, John, I'm not sure he carried the ball the first 2 games. So really it's been the last 2 games. Kyle McKinnon got hurt against Elford State, so we needed to move someone else because Ryan hadn't played for us, so we certainly need 3 running backs. And then he played great against Gallaudet this weekend. But really, we have 3 running backs. John, Kyle's feeling much better, and Logan Stewart, who played every play but 2 snaps last year on defense. So the combination of those men, they've just simply been outstanding. They're happy for each other. They play hard. But John in particular is just a very talented young man who just sees the field and strong and quick and everything you'd want in a running back. We thought at some point that he was going to play, and we're not surprised.
Well, one thing that opens up that good running game is a passing game. Yeah. Last year, you named Joe Sacarice your starting quarterback after about 3 games or so. Joe led you to 3 straight wins. What are you liking about his performance, and what are some of the strides you've seen from last year to this year?
Well, Joe didn't have any spring or summer football last year. We brought him the 3rd week of the season. So really, with the spring football, 15 practices, he had 24 practices in the summer preseason. He just gotten better and better. He just needed to practice and play. Joe's run game's in A, and our pass game is pretty close to that right now. And I feel kind of bad. I apologize to him yesterday. I just didn't think Norwich could beat us. I didn't think they could run the ball after the first half. So if they didn't have the ball, I just didn't think they could beat us the way we were playing. And the same thing this week at Gallaudet, at SUNY. I just didn't think SUNY, obviously, after the first quarter was going to beat us. So we really just kind of controlled the clock. Probably should have thrown more, but at that point I just didn't see the sense of it. So up to them when we needed to throw. Joe threw great.
Well, Coach, you came out with a win, so I'm sure he's not too mad at you right about now.
Oh, no. Joe's very unselfish.
Well, you had to make it. We just mentioned you made a change at quarterback, bringing in Joe Saccarecce, but you had to make a change at quarterback to do that. Ryan Stroud was your starting quarterback going into last season. How's he adjusting to his new position of wide receiver and punter for you?
Well, I think really there's a lot goes into it. It wasn't just quarterback, but that's the end result because everybody knows it's the quarterback. And we thought we had to get better at many different positions. I thought those moves, your other moves made at the same time. But Ryan actually done a tremendous job punting for us. Last year, he was just terrific as wide receiver. And started off the year this year is just terrific. That's a tribute to him. It's not easy being moved position. And Ryan loves the sport of football and his passion. Everything he's done for us has been terrific.
So he's a well-rounded player. That's pretty much what you're saying?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break, Gabby, but stay right here. After this short break, we will continue to talk Husson football, and we'll look at the defensive side of the ball and have a preview on Gallaudet. Stay tuned.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to the Locker Room. I'm your host, Tyler Stack, and we are pleased to be joined by head football coach Gabby Price. Well, before the break, we kind of touched on, your season so far and the offensive side of the ball. Right now, we're going to touch on a little bit of the defensive side of the ball and how much success you've had there this season. One change you made coming into this season is Stephon Dance. He was a linebacker for you last season, and you moved him to defensive back this season. What are some of the change? I mean, he's had a bunch of success, 40 tackles. What are your thoughts?
Well, really, Tyler, Coach Pritchard, John Pritchard's done a great job as defense coordinator and the defensive staff, Chris Morris and Shane Rogers and Coach Antononi. I think one of the things is that we just thought we had to get a little bit better in the secondary last year. We were more 3 deep, not to be technical. Now we have 4 guys back there. Stephon was a great risk at almost 300 tackles for us, who's really in the top 2 or 3 football players ever to play at Husson at any position. He's just a tremendous football player. We thought that moving him back there, we had other linebackers that would strengthen the secondary and get more players on the field. That's how we made that decision. Certainly there's some risk there. Usually you don't move someone that good who's all confidence. I think he's second team all New England. He's just a terrific football player. He's just like a savant on the football field. He just has instincts that most people don't see or can react to, and we're not always sure. It's like a running back. Some people, they just, what do you see? And they just can't tell you, but they see it.
What would be one example that you could kind of give us?
On Stephon, he just can read the play before the play happens. He makes very few mistakes. He has great instinct, and he can read. He can almost see the play before it develops. Because of some instinct there, intuition, or whatever you may call it, he can see that. He's quick, he's strong, he's just very intelligent football player, extremely intelligent.
One person that might not be on quite that level yet is, sophomore Ellis Throckmorton. He has 32 tackles on the year, 1 interception. What surprised you about coming into this season? I know he's a freshman last year and had a big impact on your success, but were you surprised at all to see this kind of a leap?
I was surprised last year. I knew he was good. I didn't realize he was that good. He's a very, very talented football player. and has just picked up from this year from last year. Ellis has great size. He has great instinct. He loves the game. Every day is the same. He makes one comment: "I had fun today." If every football player could be like Ellis, practice, pregame, lifting, summer conditioning, he just is why people coach. Ellis is why people coach, because of his attitude, and he's very talented on top of that, but particularly his attitude.
Is there any other defensive players that we're kind of missing that are playing well this season but are not getting the recognition they probably deserve?
Well, certainly that defensive front, this Matt Pellerin, who transferred down, hadn't played last year, has played great the last 2 games. Very strong young man. Luke Washburn, who's a freshman, has been immense the last few games. There's many of those guys. Ian Palmer's back. Stevens Legea, all those guys in the front. I don't want to miss anybody. Jeff Turcotte, Nelson Perez, that people forget about it, played great down there. Jeff Turcotte's played great the last few games. The secondary, Rick Oriole's been a safety for us. And Mike Jimenez, who didn't play last year, but has played great at cornerback. And Jordan Nurse has really solidified that secondary at one cornerback. So that and Bryant Wade, the linebacker, we made this move because we thought Bryant could play for us. And he played last year outside and did some great things, but we thought he could move inside where he played in high school. And he's just had a terrific year. And Derek Walbridge is another young man who hasn't played much here, but sees more playing time all the time, and very quick and a very, very good football player. Hope I didn't forget anybody, but...
No, I think you did a very good job covering all that. But one thing that's led to a lot of your success is all these transfers that you've had coming over from UMaine. How has that played an impact on the program?
Well, they can work either way, but in our case, they've been very humble guys. They've transferred for one reason or another, academics plus, to play football at a different level. And so, consequently, their attitude's been great. Josiah Hartley, Rick Oriole, Ryan Stroud, Ellis didn't play at Maine. Dylan Walton, another one. Hopefully I didn't forget anybody, but these men were at other schools, and Matt Pellerin, and then came here. So I think if they've come with attitude, it might be different, but they haven't come with that. They've come with attitude, just a great attitude, just terrific attitude, and commitment.
One person that's kind of gone the other way, they went from D3 to D1, is Reese Attard. He's playing for Illinois now. He's not playing right now because of the transfer rule, of course. You have to sit out a year. But do you think he'll have a lot of success at the D1 level? Well,
Reese wanted to be there, so that usually means that you can be successful if you want to be somewhere else. And he certainly can kick the football, and he's a tremendous student. So that would not get him moving around, and academics would not get him. And he certainly can kick the football. I think with a full-time coach, and they certainly have more hours they can work with guys than Division III. So I think in those cases, all those things will help Reese reach the level of success that he certainly would like to have.
From talking to you many times before, I know you stress a lot about family on and off the field. How is that coming together this year?
Well, certainly whenever you have new freshmen and you add 40 players to a existing group team, I'm sure there's some growth there. But our leadership's been excellent. I think the maturity of the group. We tell our guys you don't have to be in love with each other. I mean, people have their own group. You can't have 100 friends. I don't think many people have that, unless it's a Facebook friend or something. But so most of the guys have enjoyed each other, respect each other, respect their work ethic. And I think if you respect each other and have a common goal, the common goal is to do the best they can for this football team or whatever the group is. And we're talking about football, it usually works out. So by and large, the leadership's been terrific.
Well, that leadership probably played a big role into last week's 40-0 win over SUNY Maritime. Were you surprised, and how big of a confidence booster is this for you guys in conference to win like that?
Well, I'm not sure you're rather surprised, but you wouldn't be surprised it was 28-27. But certainly we thought we were better than they were, and certainly we'll be able to move the ball on in the pass, and they haven't done as well against us. So some teams you're just locked into. SUNY next year will probably be 100-0 them, but up to this point, we've been locked in with SUNY. Last year, we watched the film there, and it was like a training tape. Our guys were just terrific on both sides of the ball and kick game. So I think the same thing kind of happened this year. We started moving the ball. We shut them down in defense, started moving the ball, and it just kind of goes like wildfire. I'm not sure anybody's 40 points better than the other opponent, but if things go your way, certainly those things can happen.
Most teams are up and down this season, and that's to go with any season for that matter. But every team seems to give you your best, and you play your best too. What does that say?
Well, it's a great compliment to our players because I think they know that most times we show up. The greatest thing I could say about us and players, most times they show up. You know, there's sickness, there's academic issues, there's personal issues, there's certainly injuries. So to think that it's going to be a clean sweep, it's just it's a game of attrition in some respects. I used to always say if we start with the same guys, end with the same guys we start with, we're going to have a great team, but that doesn't always happen because of extenuating circumstances. But I would say the single greatest thing about Husson, we practice very hard, and our guys show up. Now, are the coaches perfect every day? Absolutely not. Are we as players perfect every day? No. But they show up, and it gives yourself a chance to win the games.
With teams being so up and down, so to say, how does that challenge you as a coach to get the best out of your players and knowing you have a chance going into every game?
Well, we're very hard on our guys practice-wise, and we think the games are won in practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we reiterate that again yesterday, every day. And that's like money in the bank if you work hard during the week. Now, most of the time it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But we're not changing our philosophy about, you know, we're not fooling around at practice. We're practicing, and there's a purpose to it. And our guys have bought into that and done a terrific job. Once again, none of this works if the guys don't listen and want it. So all the credit goes to them, but we're certainly not. I would say we're a little bit more serious in some groups, but that's what it is, and we think the game's serious.
Well, you have a big matchup this week coming up against Gallaudet. Gallaudet's kind of up and down, like we've mentioned, you know, the last couple questions. What kind of challenge are they going to present to you? You guys lost them 16-13 last year. What are you guys looking for them this week?
Gallaudet won the league last year, won the NCAAs. Year before, they were close, so they've done a terrific job. The thing about Gallaudet is they play hard. Right now, they probably play harder than any other team I've seen in the last 4 weeks in our league. So that'd be the single greatest compliment I would give them. They play very hard. They have some good players. They have an option offense. The fullback's a very good player, and what they do, they're very good at. It's very similar to SUNY Maritime, but a little bit better at it. They have maybe a better fullback or that dive back. So that being said, defense, they come after you. Excuse me, I think they've had 14 sacks in 3 or 4 games. They also played 2 pretty good teams to start the season. And then they've been in the league play the last 2 weeks, which they've dominated. I'm not sure they dominate Becker, but they certainly dominate Anna Maria. Sorry about this long-winded answer. They play very hard.
Yeah, well, they're 2-0 in conference, you know, kind of like you, and having very good success in conference. Who are 2 or 3 guys that we should watch out for this weekend that could play a big impact on their success?
Well, the defensive line has done a very good job, and they're very active. The linebackers are very active. And their dive back or the fullback or tailback, it's an option. His name's Flores. He's a very good football player.
Now, it's Friday right now. You have a game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I imagine you're coming right from here, right from this interview to practice. What kind of things will you touch upon in practice today, letting the guys know? And what kind of practice will it be? More of a walkthrough kind of?
Well, we used to, right up to this year, Todd, it's funny you say this, we used to be pretty easy on this day, like 20 minutes, and just go over some kick game and just have some fun, as much fun as you can have the day before a game. But actually, we practiced for 50 minutes today, which we'll go over some kick game. We'll have some team, which this is new for us, just something we had thought about in the off season. But it will be no pads. We've found from our guys and talking to our guys that if they go 2 days without doing something, they don't like it as much. So this gets a sweat out. Sorry about that word, but it gets them a little bit moving around and those kind of things. So that'll be 50 minutes with some kick game, some unit, and then some team.
Now, do you feel that's led to more of having a grueling practice on a Friday? Has that kind of had better game results, you would think?
But actually, usually we don't practice at all on Friday. Like last week, we didn't practice. We've never really practiced out on Friday. It's only been like a 10 or 15-minute practice. So actually, we've added to this year. Do I think it's helped? Certainly made me feel better. No, whether it's made the kids feel better, I don't know. So I'm not sure, but at least it's what we like to do.
All right, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but after this week, you have a very good Castleton team who's undefeated in conference also. What kind of challenges will they present, or have you even started to look at them?
Well, I think I haven't, but maybe somebody has with our group. But we talk every day about our guys. This is our champion season today against Gallaudet. And next week when we go there, that'll be our champion season. We talk about championship games. One of the things about football is you can't move on if you don't win the one you're at. So if you look at the schedule, not specifically Castleton, they certainly are number one and won 4 games or so, I guess. So they certainly must be good. The week after we have Anna Maria, they're down. Anything can happen. And then we're at Becker and Mount Ida. And Mount Ida certainly, we could play them. They could have 9 players, and they would play like the New England Patriots. So we certainly got a long ways to go. But nothing really, not anything really matters beside Gallaudet. And then Castleton will be after that next week.
Now, what kind of things, I mean, you've had a lot of success here, but what are the kind of things you're still looking on to build, and what are some of your goals going forward?
Well, you know, I don't know about goals. Most of our goals are specific that we always want guys that love football, and that would be the number one thing, that they have a great passion for the sport of football. We talk about all the time, number one, you're a good person. You don't have to be perfect. Number 2, you graduate, so that's the school part of it. And number 3, you have a great passion for football. Really, when those are in line and those stars are in line, it's a great, great day. And you can imagine the amount of possibilities with 100 and something guys that those stars aren't always in line. But when they are, everybody feels good. So those would be the goals, to continue to recruit outstanding people and have our guys become outstanding people, and not that they aren't, because many of them come here finished products. Continue to do well academically and play hard.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. But when we come back, we will recap your Husson Athletes of the Week. Stay with us. Thank you.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the locker room. I'm your host, Tyler Stack, and before the break, we were pleased to be joined by head football coach Gabby Price. But we now will turn our attention to the Athletes of the Week. We are pleased to congratulate this week's Athletes of the Week, John Smith of the football team and Aaron Boyer of women's soccer. Congratulations to both of them, and good luck to all the teams this weekend. That's all the time we have for this episode of The Locker Room. We'd like to thank our guest, Gabby Price, for coming on the show today. You can follow The Locker Room on Twitter at lockerroom_TV. If you would like to watch this episode or any previous episode again, go to NESCom.tv. Be sure to join us again Friday, October 31st for the next edition of The Locker Room. For everyone working hard behind the scenes, I'm your host, Tyler Stack. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of the day.